You are watching PR English Shorthand Dictations YouTube channel.
This is English Shorthand dictation number 286 and the dictation speed is 120 words per minute. Ready? Start. The revised Data Protection Bill brought by the Government of India is open for public consultation till December 17. It has 30 clauses compared to over 90 of the earlier version that was withdrawn 3 months ago following objections. Cutting down the text gives a positive resonance of clarity and decisiveness. An elaborate list of directions on how to treat personal data has been chalked out for data fiduciaries or the entities which collect and manage it. The Digital Personal Data Protection Bill 2022 proposes the right of a user to know exactly what data is being collected, how it is managed, and also processed. Companies can use the data only for the precise purpose they obtained it. They also cannot store the data perpetually by default. It has to be deleted when firms no longer need to hold that data. The revamped bill that apply to businesses operating in the country and to any entity processing the data of Indian citizens. The bill is going to have an impact on how technology giants process and transfer the data. After a 2019 bill had alarmed companies by proposing stringent restrictions on cross-border data flows, the new regulation allows transfer with certain notified countries and territories. The soft stand on data localization requirements is a major victory for technology companies. The draft legislation also seeks to create a new layer of digital governance through a regulator mandating notification of data breach to it and each user. The bill proposes hefty penalties. There is penalty of up to rupees 250 crore for failing to take safeguards and rupees 200 crore for not notifying a breach. The Centre will have powers to exempt state agencies from punitive action in the interests of national security. There are duties prescribed for the users too. They must provide authentic information while claiming the rights to erase or correct data, not register a false complaint, nor give incorrect information or impersonate. Fines can go up to rupees 10,000. Given the complexities involved, it is a draft that ticks many right boxes. However, the bill lacks in leaving out a number of crucial details which may find a place in the subsequent revision of the text of the rules. The observations of Chief Justice of India on trial courts being reluctant to grant bail to accused are significant. The Chief Justice of India said the reason the higher judiciary is flooded with bail cases is because of a certain reluctance from trial courts to grant bail. The Chief Justice of India spoke about a sense of fear in judges in district courts in granting bail, especially in cases involving heinous crime. He said that we must confront this sense of fear because unless we do that, we are going to render our district courts toothless and our higher courts dysfunctional. When there are over 4 crore cases currently pending in district courts and 78% of the prisoners in jails are under trials, the Chief Justice of India's assessment of the issue has great significance to safeguarding personal liberty of individuals. The former Chief Justice of India had acknowledged that trial courts have very little discretion because laws are increasingly stacked against granting bail. Special laws such as Prevention of Children from Sexual Offences Act, Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe Atrocities Act are designed to ensure that bail can be granted only when strict statutory conditions are satisfied. The language of these laws leaves trial judges with very little room to grant bail. The higher courts often interpret bail provisions strictly. This puts pressure on trial courts. For instance, when it comes to UAPA, a 2019 ruling of the Supreme Court states that trial courts must accept the state's case without examining its merits while considering grant of bail. The pressure faced by courts when it comes to sensational heinous crimes is not new. Since long, judicial reasoning has included the collective conscience of the society in place of evidence-based rational decision-making. Even when bail has been granted, ability to afford bail bonds becomes an issue. Studies show that 2 in 3 under trial inmates belong to either scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, or other backward classes. The Chief Justice of India spoke of instilling a sense of confidence in the district courts, starting from doing away with the nomenclature of subordinate or lower judiciary. While the acknowledgement of the judicial culture driven by fear is an encouraging first step, the challenge is to find solutions. It is not as if all district court judges are afraid of being targeted. Backing the radical orders of trial courts will inspire confidence in standing up to pressures of the day. The onus is on the judiciary. A sense of drift in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations was discernible in Cambodia last week during the 55th summit of the group. The summit itself went off smoothly enough. Compared to the last time when Cambodia held the chair in 2012, there was a welcome absence of hostility. In 2012, it was a very different picture as Cambodia, despite being the chair, had prevented a consensus on the group's position on the South China Sea because it was critical of Beijing's policies at the time. However, a decade later, there was no such controversy. But on the flip side, the outcome of the group's policy-making meeting in Cambodia was at best underwhelming. While togetherness was reiterated as the group's first principle, it remains to be seen how this will be achieved if the 10 member states of the group are to act together in dealing with regional challenges while maintaining their unity as a family is not so clear. A former Indian envoy to the group in a recent article correctly identifies 3 core issues which the group must address to stay relevant. First, Chinese aggression in the South China Sea and the varying threat perceptions of member states have not been reconciled. The group's inability to promote confidence building in the region brings its centrality into question. Contradictions are also apparent in the fact that while China remains the group's biggest economic partner, 7 of the members have signed up for the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework backed by the United States. But perhaps the more pressing issue for the group to prove its effectiveness and conflict resolution capability is Myanmar. The 5-point consensus arrived at in 2021 seems to be dead in the water as the military leadership of Myanmar has backed out on its commitments. Cambodia has tried but failed to engage the pro-democracy forces in Myanmar, and its efforts to get the military leadership to keep the promises it made in the 5-point consensus have also fallen flat. In fact, Cambodian efforts to bring back Myanmar to the group summits have been resisted by Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore. The group's position is that it will accept only non-political representation from Myanmar, which is not forthcoming. Last but not least, the second-order effects of the conflict in Europe are playing out in Southeast Asia.